My main focus this year is to make bigger, better, and more elaborate enclosures for the rare and unique reptiles I am so lucky to keep. One of the biggest inspirations to these builds is this man, Brad, of Brad's Bioactive Builds. So when Brad invited me to his place to see the room in person that I've got so many ideas from, I jumped in my car immediately and drove all the way to Chicago to see Brad's Bioactive Builds.
We're at Brad's Bioactive Builds HQ in the reptile room. One of the coolest projects I've worked on has been the Kumi build. First time I really started working with a huge enclosure to my scale, and I really wanted to throw a lot at it. So with that being said, I know I wanted to have some kind of water feature to add humidity to it. So I created the drip wall. I know that I wanted to have the water section, his pond area, to be able to quick dump and fill because they poop in the water all the time. So for quick, easy maintenance, I wanted to have that just drain right into my sump pit. And then I could just do a quick dump and fill so I wasn't carrying a whole bunch of water, you know, from the reptile room to the outside.
So Brad, this looks like the brains of the operation here. This is the set. Like, what is this?
So this is all the behind the scenes, all the mechanics, everything for my drip wall, my fogger, the easy quick dump and fill system. For that, I mean, I just pull a gate valve here. Work a lot better than ball valves, ball shutoff valves. They hold better, they don't break as quick. But essentially, I just do that, and it's going to go right to the sump pit, but I can just open it, and it'll go ahead and drain. I'll catch it all with a strainer, that way it filters, doesn't clog up my sump pump, and dump it out in the garbage can, and then just fill it right back up with a garden hose. Goby smart plugs, it's all fully automated, so I don't really have to sit here, come downstairs, turn on the fogger, turn on the Mist King, turn on the lights, you know, the whole nine. He's definitely one of my favorite, most puppy dog tame monitor that I have in the room. I'll show you the earless here in a little bit. That is actually the one I'm the most afraid of, the smallest one in the room, but he is pretty bitey. You know, he will take a nip at your fingers, especially if it's feeding day, which it is today, so handling might be, you know, he might...
What's it feel like?
They are the pit bull salamanders, Mike Stefani would say with Mike's monitors. These things can latch on and really just bite the crap out of you. When they have a full belly, though, they are pretty chill. But once again, you don't know.
Reaction, did you say?
Yeah.
You felt almost when it bit you, you felt like you got a reaction from the bite as well.
Yeah, and I did not stop bleeding for quite some time. This is back when not a lot of people were working with them, so we didn't know how venomous are they venomous, is there any kind of allergic reaction you can have. And I remember I was talking with one of my wife's friends, showing her the reptile room, and he bit me. And I looked at her stone-faced, and I was like, okay, if I turn blue and pass out, call 911. You know?
How much does he weigh?
I'd say he's a good 15, 20 pounds, 30 pounds.
And these animals can get 35 plus pounds. Varanus Cummii is one of the smaller water monitors, but water monitors in general are absolutely massive, which means they take a lot of space. So to see an enclosure like this one for such an amazing creature is something so cool to see, and something I want to see more of. But before I show you the inspiration to the Blue Tree Monitor enclosure I built, let's fill their bellies and show you that animals this big can be trusted too.
What's for lunch? So we got quail. I have a little bit of mice and chicks. So something I like about this too is it opens up the whole enclosure so you can just feel more part of. You don't have that big little glass divider in the way.
That is so cool. So like the entire front is totally open.
Yep.
These animals are apex predators. A 5-foot lizard that is known for eating meat, well, your hand is made of meat too, so you have to be careful they don't get confused. And that's something that Brad does really, really well. But just because he's downing these quails like it's his day job, doesn't mean that you have to be afraid to put your fist in there or handle these animals too. How did you get him to do that?
Just working with them. Mike's monitor socializing caging system works wonders for any veranda, especially water monitors that are skittish, that aren't coming out. I got a video on it or message Mike, but yeah, just continually working with them. I never force handle. People ask me a lot, hey, do you handle this one? Do you not? It's really up to the animal if I'm going to handle it or not. If it's going to come out to me, then yeah. If it's not, I want to, respect its own space and treat them with the respect that they deserve.
Brad, what is the steroid schedule on your blue tree monitor? What kind of steroids do you feel?
That's a secret recipe. I might let you in on it later. Yeah.
So the calcium that we see you dusting, that might not be calcium.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, protein powder. He does.
Okay.
Yeah. He lifts weights the whole night in there, man.
Okay.
He can lift more than me. So. Yeah.
Okay.
Which ain't much.
So you went 6 feet long and what is it, 4 feet tall?
Yeah.
So why did you go longer than taller for your tree monitor?
Just to give him a little bit more horizontal space. You know, I knew that I wanted to lift the enclosure up off the ground a little bit, so at least he felt like he was up higher. And then also, too, it just kind of spread out the basking zones a little bit more. One of them's at about 120, 125, and then the other one here is about 110. That way, once again, he can pick and choose like the Kumi enclosure would be. So, and I mean, he uses every square inch of this, and it's really cool to see him leaping from one side to the other. With, you know, if I would have gone 4 wide, I don't think I would have gotten that effect so much. I mean, he's definitely a display animal, and I wanted to see him, you know, acting as natural as possible inside of here. So that's kind of why I went with that. He does go on the ground from time to time, but he's mainly up in the canopies, right? So I wanted to offer as much space up there for him.
It is kind of cool, too, that you've got 2 Asian monitors kind of right beside each other. So it must be kind of easy to keep the temperature and humidity pretty similar.
Yeah, I mean, this room stays pretty humid in itself. But because I have fans in all the enclosures and I kind of dialed in all the vents, I'm able to have one enclosure a little bit more humid, like my blue tree, and then my coming eye is just slightly less humidity. One, the size helps with that, but yeah, I mean, the room stays pretty warm, as you can probably feel just being down here. Yeah, it gets a little toasty in here.
Now, obviously, keeping the heat in a room like Brad's or a room like this one here is kind of difficult. So before I show you maybe the coolest enclosure on the entire internet, just a sneak peek at mine and I'll give you an in-depth later. But we did just change all the lighting in this room, which was actually really convenient because this week, thanks to today's sponsor, Chewy, when you buy live feeder insects, you also get 20% off Arcadia all the way until November 16th, which helps a lot because when you need to buy like 20 of these things, it helps a lot. Thank you. And if you don't want to build your own enclosures, New Age Pet makes some incredible 120-gallon enclosures at insane prices, and you get 25% off Arcadia T5s when you buy one. You get your enclosure and your lighting for less than the enclosure cost full price. Fluker, Zoomed, Arcadia, Pangea, Mix and Match, buy 3 and get the 4th one free. And when you buy feeder insects, get 25% off hornworms, which are one of my favorites to feed. Housing, lighting, and feeding a collection of animals can get expensive, but thanks to Chewy's pre-cyber deals, we're getting a little bit of a break. Head on over right now. And this thing took you how long to build?
So the first piece of wood I cut was January 13th of 2024, and I finished it, I want to say, sometime in May of 2025. But once again, I mean, like, I really had, you know, I worked full time. I had 2 kids during that time period. So if I were to actually just go at it with no time limit, I probably could have got it done in about 2.5 to 3 months.
So you are cohabiting in here though. You've got 2 Mertens monitors. Okay, first of all, what is a Mertens monitor?
So they're native from Australia. Latin name is mertensi, Varanus mertensi, and it's technically like the Australian water monitor. Very cool aquatic species. They don't get as big as the coming eye or, you know, other Asian water monitors. Their max length is probably about 4 foot for the males, anywhere between 2.5, 3 foot for the females.
So Brad, you also have an aquarium in here. So this is a Paludarium, but on a much larger scale than we normally see. What kind of fish do you have in here?
So I have peacock cichlids down below along with some archers. I just got some Chinese algae eaters. I got a couple of tetras in there because I was doing some rearranging with their home. So there's a couple of tetras swimming around down there too.
So my question, because like people who watch the channel, they know that I don't like water for a certain reason. How have you not had a flood so far with this thing?
I've been lucky, knock on wood. No, it really, when you're working with water, you want to make sure that you overbuild, and then once you take it to the step you think it's finished, take one more step past that. Water will always find a way unless it's completely watertight. One little pinhole is going to throw it all off, and I always find it better, like I said, to overbuild out of the gate so you're not doing repair work later down the road.
What's in the fridge, Brad?
So my Mertens, they never displayed any kind of breeding behavior. Mm-hmm. Literally, the minute I put them into their new enclosure, within the first week of having the male in there, they were locking up, they were breeding, and I've been lucky enough to get irises, my female Mertens, first clutch of eggs. So there were 6. one of them went bad, so there's 5 of them in the oven right now.
So Brad, are you trying to say that making naturalistic enclosures is good for the animals?
I would definitely point us in that direction, yeah.
Conspiracy theorist, okay.
Yeah.
Brad's monitor builds are awe-inspiring. They're huge, they're massive, they're realistic, and they're something we can all aspire to. But he didn't start with his big monitors, he started with little things like dart frogs and tree frog. Like this one here, where it's a Paludarium made out of a ready-to-go Exoterra enclosure that's 3 feet by 3 feet by 18 inches. Something that I've built tons and tons of, but maybe just never as good as Brad. And if you look hard enough, you can even see the dart frogs inside. But maybe one of the coolest things Brad has isn't even in his reptile room at all. It's in his living room. This is Collodi's, very similar to the Collodi's Versicolor that I showed you last week. And in that video, I said they might be one of the coolest and best pet reptiles nobody knows about, and I think that's true. But the Collodi's is so much more vibrant and interesting in the way that they appear right from a captive breeding, which is why I think that they're better. And this custom enclosure that looks similar to how you'd keep a chameleon is perfect for these Collodi's. These garden lizards are bright red-headed. He fired up when he saw me because he didn't know me, and then he was eating crickets like it was his day job. It was so much fun to watch this animal just move around in his enclosure, and that says to me, naturalistic enclosures make naturalistic animals. So this is what we're trying to do with Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles as well. Over the past 7 years, we've done 750 videos, and in those videos, we've talked a lot about species and dream species and things I wish I could get, and I finally found what it is that excites me most, and that is monitors, especially tree monitors. A year ago, I got my first one, Stitch. A lot of my inspiration came from my friend Diana Reptiliatus, but a lot of it too from Brad seeing his blue tree monitor in the enclosure that he built. And 2 years ago, I started building these naturalistic enclosures, starting with that one over there, Corintinia, which has a whole ecosystem inside of it, being that it's 8 foot by 4 feet deep by 6 feet high. So I decided, what if the entire room just had really cool enclosures the entire way around? What if I had less animals focused on the things that I really get excited about? Don't get me wrong, I love ball pythons and I love corn snakes. Breeding those isn't what excites me anymore. But the first time that I held a Fiji banded iguana, I knew that I had to have one. And ever since owning one almost 4 years ago, it's never got old. The arboreal snakes like the emerald tree boas, those are in this room now too, and I can't wait to show you that enclosure. Those snakes make me stop every time I enter the room just to stare at them. And the frilled dragons, our latest enclosure that I haven't even really shown you yet except for, well, right now. An Australian pair that we're hoping to make babies from, and Indonesians that we have as well. I'm hyper focused on the things that I really love, and when people enter this room, I want to see their eyes get bigger than pie plates. I want it to be impressive, not just for the YouTube audience, who I am so thankful that you guys are still here after 7 years, but to people in person, and more than anybody else, selfishly, for me. When I walk into this room and I have, 50 animals, it's just work. I know that I'm never going to be able to sit down and actually watch the animals move around, and to me that got really old. And I kind of lost sight on what it is that got me into this in the first place, which is watching the animals and sitting back and looking at your work and looking at the cool enclosures that you built and how much your animals enjoy them. Those are the ones I'm truly trying to impress. And I think that we're doing it. If you look behind me, this room looks a lot different than it once did. And we're almost done this enclosure here, which is going to be for our brand new black tree monitors that I haven't even shown you yet. And there's another one right beside me that I'm not showing you because that one's going to be completely different than all the others because of guys like Brad Gerke, who I got inspiration from to begin with. So if you've been watching the channel and you like the top 5s, don't worry, they're not going away. But in 2026, it's going to be a lot more of this. Builds and animal behavior, and the breeding projects aren't going to be hognose snakes and leopard geckos anymore. They're gonna be things that maybe you don't see on other channels. I've got the inspiration, I'm talking to the right people. Oh yeah, I went to Canadian Cold Blood and that video's coming out pretty soon too. If you've been watching for a long time and you've never hit that subscribe button, the channel is just getting better. And I wanna say thank you guys so much for watching and giving me the opportunities to chase what it is that I love. These reptiles, and now cooler enclosures to make them even happier than I could ever imagine them being before.